There is a bearish breakout of the triangle pattern on Bitcoin. We'll review the charts in just a second on Ethereum and Ripple as well. Welcome to Elite Currency. My name is Chris. All right, this is Bitcoin versus the US dollar, and basically broke this triangle to the downside. This breakout candle already appeared end of last month, and price made a little bit of consolidation and is now continuing lower. So we can put some fibs on this very first swing high, see where potential targets could be for the downside. And you see the price is approaching, or right at actually, the minus 272 target at around 8,000. Now it depends on the reaction of price at this target, whether we could see a follow through to even maybe the next target, which is 5,000 at the minus 61.8, and also this previous low right here. All right, that could still be a zone to be cautious of, right around here. So let's see how price responds to this level. We have a potential trend line like this, but here too, price is going to tell us if it's going to break or bounce. We have a resistance trend line that we can draw on the chart like this, just in case price does make a rebound. Then we're aware of the resistance levels too, of course, that we want to know about, and the previous bottoms will be resistance too. All right, so this is kind of the playing field that we have at this moment. If price does bounce here, be aware that all of these levels could be very heavy resistances still for that final, perhaps final push towards the minus 61.8 fib. All right, so something like this, for instance, could happen like that. All right, or if we get an immediate break, obviously, then in that case, there could be this push to the 61.8 target right away. So that's the daily chart. Let's take a look at the 4-hour chart. You can see the triangle. We talked about this triangle and the fact that it will break bullish or bearish. It's a consolidation pattern, and once we get the break, we know about the next direction. All right, so we can take away this fib, and we can start looking at smaller fibs to identify what the targets could be. We see a consolidation here, so we could perhaps use this swing high, swing low, as this could be a wave 3, for instance, and this could be a wave 4. The wave 4 stopped at the 50 fib, and or we could maybe even use this fib, but anyhow, it's about the same. Doesn't really matter. And you can see 7.5 is a minus 272 target, and then 5.5 is the next target. And price is pretty impulsive. Let's zoom in to current price. There you go. You can see that strong candles. All right, and when we had the breakout here, we had a small flag and a continuation. This is something that we focus on often, is the pattern after the pattern break. This was the pattern break. The big pattern break happened here. This was a pretty big triangle. We had the break here, and this was a small flag. This is the pattern after the pattern break, and then the continuation. That helps avoid false breaks. If this was a false break and we see it rocket up like this, we wouldn't see a flag. We got a flag, so that meant that there was no false break, and indeed, price continued lower. Hourly chart, nothing to add. I think that if there are so far no divergence on the hourly chart, so I am leaning towards a continuation lower, in fact, at the moment. I think if there's a bear flag on the hourly chart or the 4-hour chart, like this, that a continuation lower is likely. So for the moment, bearish pressure strong, and I think will remain strong for the next days. And price is going to maybe have a little bit of a pause around here, 8,000, 7.5. But if there are any bear flags, a continuation lower to 5.5 is possible, and that's of course a pretty hefty downside move compared to that massive rally we had in around December and November. It is basically erasing all of that in January and February. All right, so that would be quite a substantial retracement here. We can put the fib on the entire swing high, swing low here, and you can see there's a 78.6 fib, about 5.5. So I think that is an area where price, there's a good chance that price could bounce from that area. At least a relief rally at the very minimum is what I would expect, around 5 and 5.5. All right, but with momentum, you never know, and it can always go a bit further than we expect. Ethereum is also being dragged along with other cryptos, and specifically Bitcoin. So we didn't get the bullish continuation as I expected, because there was a breakout of these fractals. The other cryptocurrencies remained bearish. I thought that Ethereum was one of the exceptions that looked bullish, but I guess it too got dragged into this bearish sentiment at the moment, and it broke the support trend line. It broke this fractal, and it looks like it is heading therefore lower with pretty good momentum as well. Obviously, it has not made the same depth of retracement as compared to Bitcoin. Bitcoin is pretty much, way deep, the retracement. It's heading towards the 78.6 fib. Ethereum, obviously, still way above that 50 fib. So there's definitely relatively a big difference between Ethereum and Bitcoin in this bearish retracement. However, that said, Ethereum is still moving lower, and if today's daily candle is anything like it looks like today, then with the close near the low, then the 61.8 fib is definitely something that could be on the minds of the targets for the downside and the potential bouncing spot too. Why? Because there is a long-term moving average. It is a 61.8 fib, therefore fib ratio, golden ratio, sorry, and a very important one as well. And it could be where the ABC finishes. So depending on how today indeed closes, there could be bearish pressure down to 600 in my view. Ripple also broke the support trend line we had on the chart, wasn't able to break above the resistance what we had on the chart, and it's continuing with the bearish momentum as well, and it's starting to look very much like a mountaintop, which in a certain degree Bitcoin has too, but I think Ripple even more so perhaps. But anyhow, next target 88.6 fib, lots of bearish pressure, and who knows if any of these fibs will be strong enough to stop price for a bigger rally than just a little bit of a bounce. We had bounces here at the 38, at the 50, the 61.8, and 78.6 fib. But those rallies were quite short and didn't go too much to the upside. So will 88.6 fib be a fib that can send price back up at least to the halfway mark? Big question mark. If it doesn't, then something definitely is changing in the character more than I would expect at this moment. Definitely I would expect one of these fibs to hold, but now it's really a question mark. All right, but in any case, the next fib could be or is the 88.6 fib, and could actually also, of course, create a bounce. If it will, it all depends on price action. I would keep an eye on these daily candles, to be honest. And no, this is 4-hour daily candles here. And take a look at if there's any kind of bullish engulfing twins or something like that. And the pin bar at the 88.6 fib, I think is really needed. Otherwise, we don't know how far this momentum will last. All right, that's an update on the cryptocurrencies. More free analysis and free material and free ebooks and free indicators at elitecurrency.com. Try out our ECS.start package on the homepage to get to know how to look at charts and technical analysis, and wish you all good trading. Cheers.